after a while. Like, I was raised in Santeria from the age of 5. I had little disturbances when my dad died. I was weak. They didn't put me into Santeria to be a witch doctor.
Explain Santeria to people who don't know what
It's a religion that originated in Africa and Nigeria, and then the slaves brought it over to Cuba. They hid it from the plantation owners through Catholicism. So that's why there's a lot of cross.
It's kind of a mixture of African and Catholic.
Catholic religion. When I was 5, I was brought up to 148th Street, and this lady had a collie, a dog, and I loved the collie. I loved dogs, and I was allergic to them. So while I was playing with the dog, she would talk to me, and I fell in love with this woman. I fell in love with her. She was like my mother. And then as I got older, one day they asked me, do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want to get Elegua, which is the first one you get? Elegua and Ogun, Yo Romero, those are the first things you get, and you put them by your door, and they guarantee, your safety. For me, it was health. That big black woman is my godmother, okay? And then after that, when I was 6, they finally said they were going to initiate me and my mother because my spirit took my father.
Wow.
So they wanted my godmother, they wanted me and my mother to be twins in the Santeria. So I made saint on 148th Street and Broadway. But for me, it wasn't to be a killer or to be anything like that. I can't carry guns. I can't go in cars with strange people. I can't do business with 3 people. I can't say, I hope Jamie gets hit by a car. I'm not allowed to say all those things. I don't use it the way in the late 70s.
Why can't you do business with 3 people?
Because 2 of them will sidle up against you. And that's the same thing that happened to me on my kidnapping. I robbed somebody with 3 people. I can't stay in anything. Look at my life now. Look at my life when I was snorting white powder. My saint in my head is control. Like, that's why I always wear a white T-shirt on Mondays. It's the day of the spirit.
What? You always wear a white T-shirt on Monday?
Look at my shoes. They're white on white.
Always?
When I step out of the shower, I walk onto
Only
a white
on Monday?
shower mat every day.
Every day.
Every day. I'm still very Santeria in my head. I wasn't when I was doing the coke because I knew I wasn't allowed to. What happened in the mid-'70s with Santeria was I would pay you to tell me what you wanted to hear. Listen, I got a big cargo coming in from Colombia with 200 kilos. What would the saints say I do? It's fucking religion. They don't fucking transport blow. But these people got enamored with it. So it was like, TJ, I want to kill Joe Rogan. Let me put a spell. So you're supposed to write your name on a thing and then take a tongue and put it in a cow's tongue. Like, there was a big story when I was a kid for Tati. One of Tati's stories that he's in the book. He's Omega-7. That I didn't know this growing up. He went to court one time, and his godmother made a powder. And before the judge went to make a verdict, she sprayed the powder in the thing. And the judge fucking couldn't remember what the fuck he was about to say, so they had to dismiss the case. And she became a star after that. Every fucking criminal wanted to give her thousands of dollars.
What was the powder?
Like a thing they made. There's a movie they called years ago. It was The Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves and Pacino.
Yeah.
And there's one scene where he has to go protect the guy. The guy's a Santeria guy. New York is prosecuting him because he's killing animals without a license. And he goes, watch this. He takes the tongue out. He puts the tongue down. He blasts the tongue with like a thing. And then he asked the guy, what's the judge's name? And the judge gave him his name. And he took the tongue and they roll it with nails. And then they put it away and they go, don't worry about tomorrow. The next day at court, the judge starts to fucking talk, and he goes into a coughing spree. He can't fucking talk. Now that person looks like a hero. These were all subtle coincidences that these fucking spics were fueled by now. So now I gotta have a big week, Joe Rogan. What does the saint say? And you get 4 pieces of coconut. You throw them on the floor, and the saints say, this is going to be your week. Let me give you $20,000. So now drug dealers started doing it. When Noriega got busted, he had Santeria in his closet. Fidel was well known for Santeria in his closet. These dudes. Well, you have a special room.
You have an altar.
I made a promise when I lived in that apartment that if Batalar got me a house, he'd have his own room. Go to my house. My saint is in my office,
Really?
right behind me.
I have an altar. I'm not
I
Cuban.
have an altar, and I
but
also have a.
If you get into the Cuban thing, it will get you.
It will get you.
It will get you at
So
some point.
you, from reading this book, created an altar?
I have an
You have to
Orisha.
have an. You have to have.
Eligua is my
It's
Orisha.
Orisha. He's the little
Why
boy.
did you do this?
It's a belief system.
But why did you do this?
Because you can't really understand the culture unless you embrace it on some level. You understand it and live it unless
But you
live
continue it even after the book.
it. Oh, yeah.
Why
I've
is that?
had people talk to me when I've thrown cards about you.
Throwing cards about me?
When people have done my readings, they have mentioned you in my readings.
Really?
That you're you're Obatala's son, all the way to the end.
What does that mean?
Obatala is an old wise saint. He has 24 different passages. He goes, my passage is Yaguna. That's the one you don't want around. Because they were supposed to put Shango in my head, but to tame me down, I was a Chango son. Chango means thunder.
Yeah.
Whenever you see thunder and shit, that's Chango.
The drum.
Chango is a man and a woman. You can't kill mice around him. They beheaded him because a mouse woke him up, and he woke up and, oh, it's fuck. Look, I get sentimental. You have no idea.
Shango is the drum, the conga drum, which is the thunder, summoning the thunder.
Yeah, so they put a batala in my head to calm me down. I'm not supposed to carry weapons. I can't have knives on me. I can't get into arguments. My mother in the saint is Ochung. She's just a whore. She's just Ochung is the whore of the saints. She gave her kids to Yemaya to raise. If you have problems with your stomach or you want to have a kid, you have to pray to Ochung. But the women saints are worse than the male saints. You don't fuck around with the women saints because they will fuck your world up.
Ochun is probably Mary Magdalene, right?
Yes, and Yemaya sent a message to my mother. My mother didn't do it. My mother died.
So how the fuck do I fit into Santeria? What do you
When I went a couple of years ago, I had a read, and some guy told me that you have a couple strong about a lot of people in your life, and that's definitely you. You're an older, wiser guy. You're not violent. You're very controlled. You're a lot more controlled than I am, which is more of I lean towards the Chango phase. My main thing is a Yaguna. A Yaguna was the young Obatala. He's the one that took a sword and wiped it on his chest with red. And they asked him why did he like to kill, and he said because blood makes change. Something stupid. He has, but I don't practice that. My Obatala is very calm. But one guy I go see, he's a badass motherfucker here. Didn't mention your name. Didn't need to. They don't need to mention names to me. Once they tell me, I already know what they're talking about. So I still go get readings. Like when I go to Miami next time, I go to my godmother.
See, this is the reason
she'll do a thing on my head.
I still
overnight.
follow it. This is the reason I still follow it. You were asking me why I would still follow it. It's because once you get to an understanding of the idea that there are certain spirits within you, and the Orishas represent different spirits. Once you understand that, that's not something you throw away. Even if you don't follow the religion anymore, you still have belief in that. You still believe in that. So my Orisha is Eligua. Eligua is the saint. He's a trickster. Eligua is a trickster, plays little tricks, and also the saint of passages. So people put Eligua above their door because you're passing from one room into another room. And so you identify with that spirit, and that becomes part of your identity.
And you can't whistle in the house.
What?
If you have Eligua, you can't whistle in the house.
Yeah, I don't whistle.
You can't go in the house because he'll leave. So you can't fucking whistle.
What? You can't whistle?
No.
Wow.
Like when I was a kid, I'd sit at the table and do.
Yeah, you can't whistle.
And my mom would go, touch that fucking table again, I'll break your fucking head. Because God lives in the table. Now, Joe, I grew up in it. They made Saint in me. Like when I made Saint was in November, and they did it up in the Bronx River. So they had to break the ice, and they were dark-skinned Cubans. And I'll never forget that they rip your clothes off, and then they take whatever your saint is, they hit you with the number of water. So if your saint is 5, you get hit with 5 things of water, and they dry you up, or you're freezing. And when I saw them ripping my mother's clothes off, I was about 5. I'm like, fuck you, black motherfuckers. And I started running down Bronx Boulevard. They had to chase me and bring me back. I didn't want to do it. It's an all-night ceremony. It's all night on a Friday.
It's crazy.
All night
12
on
hours
Friday,
long.
12 hours long.
Oh, my
You
God.
sleep, and then Sunday is when they read your future to you. And then for a week, you just live in a corner, white. They paint your head, you're bald.
What?
So I had to go back to school on Monday, bald, with a hat. They said he's not allowed in here with a hat. My mother gave the principal a small nickel, and I was allowed to wear the hat from 9 to 3. But then at 3 o'clock, I had to go home and change into white clothes for a year. Not allowed
For
to
a
look.
year.
I had to dress in white. Not
For a
allowed-
year.
A year. So for